Hello everyone, this is Peter Bom for Australian Motorcycle News with an update from the MotoGP race in Phillip Island. Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP, and first of all, congratulations everybody. You guys have yourself a Moto2 race winner. Senna Agius, last year he did his first podium here on the island. This time he won it, and he did not win it just, he was winning it like completely checking out, never looking back. Brilliant race. All weekend he was good. It's too bad now that on 2/3 of the season he had a bit of a downer in his performance, lost a little bit of confidence, lost the way how to ride a bike, but now he's fully back again. So yeah, I hope this does also something change in his mind, because once you won a race, it becomes different. First, you have more self-belief in it from that moment on. Secondly, you get even more hungry for the next one. So yeah, looking forward to next week, what he's going to do over there. But there was another Australian rider as well that was on the front row in the Moto3, on the pole position in the Moto3 position, Joel Kelso. Not winning the race, but finishing second in today's race was really, really good, because what I liked a lot from what he did, he had a good start, immediately put down the hammer, did a super high rhythm, nearly pulled away alone from the whole pack, because the thing with Moto3 is you have to try to get out of the pack, but it's so difficult to get out of the pack because of the slipstreaming effect with these small motorbikes. So it was only Rueda, the world champion, that jumped from the whole group to Joel Kelso, and then the clever thing Joel and Rueda did was not fighting each other, but staying together, using each other's slipstream, and try to get away from the group. And they did. They get seconds and seconds away from the group. So just when we were thinking with 2 or 3 laps to go, now we will see who's going to win this race, that's when Joel said, he said in his statement, my tires are not really there anymore in the end. Rueda had a little bit more tire left, so I couldn't do anything. But very good job finishing second in your home race. That must be a boost. But the bigger boost was for the Aprilias. The MotoGP race, I mean, this weekend was all for the Aprilias. So Bezzecchi on pole with a super big difference already to everybody else. Raul Fernandez yesterday on the podium after Bezzecchi, and today Raul Fernandez winning the main race. I mean, super good. Raul winning the main race because Marco Bezzecchi has to do 2 long laps in this race as a penalty from running into the back of Marc Marquez last week in the first lap of the Mandalika round. So yeah, Aprilia superior here on this track, mostly down to the fact that they have a good engine, but not super good. They are good on the brakes, but not super good, but very stable. But what these bikes do very well is long-lasting corners, which in Phillip Island you have a lot. It sort of gets sucked to the ground, and at the same time the aero helps it a lot to turn. So every long-last corner, the Aprilias make up a lot of meters easily. And with that, they save also a little bit the tire, because they don't use the rear tire to force the turning, and they don't scrub all the speed off with the front tire to make it turn. So yeah, that's like the golden thing everybody looks for in MotoGP, something that helps you turning and not eat your tires. And they have it, especially in Phillip Island, long last corners. The Aprilia is just superior. So Raul Fernandez was winning it because he had 2 long lap penalties. With that 2 long lap penalties, Marco Bezzecchi still came back to 3rd position. Can you imagine? But in between was Fabio Di Gianantonio, coming from P10 on the grid all the way to P2nd is very impressive. So yeah, there's always one Ducati over there in the top, and this time it was Fabio Gianantonio. Marco Bezzecchi 3rd, Alex Marquez 4th, which is more or less where you expect him to be, nothing special. 5th place was down to Pedro Acosta, who seems to be fighting for P2, P3 in the beginning of the race with the KTM. I mean, it's lovely. I really like a lot how Pedro Acosta is riding the KTM, because to ride the KTM fast still looks like somebody is riding an old school motorbike very fast, with the rear stepping out and losing the front into the corners. And the Ducatis and the Aprilias have so much aero, so much technology over them, that they almost look, even when they're super fast, they look like, I wouldn't say boring, but in a way it's almost a little bit boring. No, the way Pedro Acosta is riding the KTM is super interesting, super nice to see, but it eats the tires. The engine is really strong, it's good on the brakes, but the long last corners where these bikes are superior, that's exactly where the KTM, after a couple of laps, can't do it anymore. So But if on a shit track for Pedro Acosta, which doesn't shoot the bike, doesn't shoot his riding style, if you finish 5th, then you do something really well as a rider. The other guy that did something really well is Luca Marini on the Honda P6. Strong performance, can't say nothing. And the interesting thing with Luca Marini is he has 0 crashes. The guy just doesn't crash at all, which on a Honda is quite something special. It means it is his nature to immediately feel this is the limit of the bike and I don't push anymore. Because 2 of the other Hondas, Zarco and especially Joan Mir, are every weekend, every day on their ass, blaming the Honda for being a very nervous bike. But Luca Marini putting the thing in the top 6 without any crashes all year so far, very, very impressive. Alex Rins, P7, first Yamaha. So Alex likes this track. You already won one time here in the past, and so it's one of these special tracks that if it shoots you, it's still not easy, but then sort of you don't need to fight yourself and the track. If it doesn't shoot you, it's a drama, Phillip Island. But definitely Alex Rins likes this track. The Yamaha likes the track, but with the lack of horsepower and being the only inline 4 at the grid is very, very difficult. But to see Alex Rins in P7 and Fabio Quartararo in P11 is weird. Fabio started on pole. For me, was supposed to finish in the top 4, top 5 for sure, but something went wrong. He couldn't say what it was, which makes me think it was probably a tire that, in his opinion, didn't work at all. But the riders cannot say, the Michelin tire was shit. They get a lot of shit if they say that. So usually say something out of our control or something. So that was with the Fabio Quartararo. The other outstanding performance was Fermin Aldeguer. Not his finish position in P14, but something went wrong on the bikes at some point. But up until that moment, the young rookie, let's not forget, last week's race winner, is still a rookie this year. Was about to do a super, super good race, and then something stopped functioning. I don't know, probably some electronic sensor or whatever. He didn't want to say what, and he dropped a long time. The other thing that was really an eyebrow raiser is Franco Morbidelli, P15. I think qualifying he was something like 15. Yesterday in the sprint 15. Today in the race 15. That's very hard to accept without any logic reasons coming from P15 on last year's Ducati for Franco Morbidelli is very, very weird. So his head must be in a complete different place. From here on, we're going next week to Sepang, which is an interesting track because it is very different from Phillip Island. Phillip Island is a unique track, and we've seen which bike shoot it here, but Sepang has a little bit of everything. Yes, there are a couple of corners where the Aprilia play its cards. There will be a couple of corners where the KTM will be superior. There will even be corners where the Yamaha can be super good. So yeah, really look forward to that. The difference also with Phillip Island and Sepang is that Sepang is not so much a track where you have to also conserve your tires a lot as much as in Phillip Island, which always feels a little bit more fair to me. So yeah, that was it from today's race. Next week I'll be back with an update from what happened in Sepang. Thanks for watching. Bye everyone.